Okay, good morning. So we go now with the next topic. So about the direct current generators. So what are the topics we're going to discuss in this chapter? So there are 14 topics. So number one is the generated EMF or EMF equation of a generator. Second, simple loop generator. Third, types of generators. Four, magnetization curve. Five, build up voltage build up of a self-excited shunt generators. Six, iron loss in armature. Seven, total loss in a DC generator. Eight, power stages. Nine, generator efficiencies. 10, condition for maximum efficiency. 11, armature reaction and commutation. 12, generator characteristics. Uh, Next is voltage regulation, and the last is on the parallel operation of generators. So general objectives. So after studying this topic, you should understand the principles and characteristics of DC generators and specific objectives. First is compute the average generated voltage of a DC generator given a machine physical construction parameters. Second, know the different types of DC generators on the basis of field excitation. Draw the schematic diagram of a DC machine. Find a generator output voltage using the magnetization curve. Compute generator voltage regulation and know the conditions of connecting DC generators in parallel. So we go now with the generated EMF of a DC generators. So let's try to read the given statement here that if a single conductor moves at a constant speed across a magnetic field of uniform flux density, 1 volt will be generated for every 10 raised to 8 Maxwell's cut per second. So the average voltage now per conductor as it rotates at a speed of revolution per second, that is equivalent to revolution per minute divided by 60 is equal now to EC is equal to P times phi times N RPM times 10 raised to 8 all over 60, where that EC is a variable that represents the average voltage per conductor, P the number of main poles, phi the flux per pole with a unit of lines or Maxwell's. So we have also another unit for the magnetic lines of force or the flux in terms of SI unit, which is equal to Weber. And this Weber is equivalent to 1 times 10 raised to 8 lines or Maxwell's. So, and with the subscript RPM is the speed in revolution per minute. So we only place a subscript now there so that we can distinguish that the speed is in that unit. And in our discussion, that in one turn in a certain coil, there are two conductors. So it is represented by this figure here. So we have a one turn um, where na? Okay, so this is one turn of a certain coil. So we have this side now is considered as one conductor, and we have another one conductor here. So if we let now Z as the total number of armature conductors in the armature windings, then the total generated voltage E or EG. So the formula now will become, um, should be looks like this, that our E or EG is equal now to the generated voltage per conductor, that is EC, multiplied by the total number of conductors divided by the number of parallel paths. So that our equation will become like this. So why is it that the total generated voltage should not be multiplied by Z? Because based from our discussion in the armature winding, the armature conductors or the coils are not usually connected all in series. So they are connected parallel series. So example is we have looks like this. So we have say two paths. So the conductor should be connected like that. So the generated voltage per conductor, assuming we have one conductor here, we have EC. Then the total generated now here should be simply equal to the number of conductors in one path, which is now equal to Z over A, should be equal now to that formula. Okay, so Z over A multiplied by the generated voltage per conductor. So kaya that is the reason why we're going to multiply only Z over A to the generated voltage per conductor to come out with the total generated voltage. Since they are all connected in parallel based from your circuits, so still we have the same voltage output. Okay, so that is appear in the brushes. It is the total voltage. So that is the total or generated voltage now of the armature. So if we rearrange now that one, it should be Zp flux N all over 60A multiplied by 10 raised to 8. So this should be 10 times 10 raised to negative 8. Then let's say to discuss now the generated voltage of a single coil in one complete revolution. So we're going to rotate now a single turn of a coil in one complete rotation, and we're going to see what should be the generated voltage of the um, one turn coil. So we have an illustration here for the source of magnetic lines of force, that is a magnet composed now of north pole and south pole. So maybe that source of magnetic line of force is maybe a permanent magnet or electromagnet. Then we're going to place now a one turn coil. Okay, so ito yung one turn coil here, that there are two conductors here. We have conductor AB and conductor CD. That the ends now of this one turn coil is connected to a commutator bar composed of two segments. And meron tayong two brushes here. We have the positive brush and the negative brush. So the arrangement of the commutator should be looks like this. So kung hindi nyo ma-visualize, so it should be looks like this. So ganito yung division between them. So yung upper bar is connected to conductor AB, so N, and the lower segment is connected to conductor CD, and meron tayong brass which is now placed here. So at this case, it will short circuit the coils. But at that position, usually the conductors AB and CD will not cut any magnetic lines of force because the direction of the velocity of the conductor at that position is horizontal. So it is parallel to the magnetic lines of force, which is going to from north to south, horizontal. Therefore, there is no cutting of flux that is happen in that condition. So theoretically, the generated voltage is zero, and it is safe to short circuit the coil. So, so that we have a share a construction of the drawing. So we're going to represent now that isometric view into front view. So ito na yung drawing natin. We have now North Pole here. So same as the figure above. South Pole. Then ito na yung conductor AB and conductor CD. That this conductor AB is connected to the upper bar. So it is indicated here. And conductor CD is connected to the lower bar or segment. So at this point, the peripheral velocity of the conductor is horizontal, so that there's no cutting of flux that is happen at that position. Therefore, the generated voltage is zero. And then we go, let's say to rotate now the coil clockwise, like this. So that conductor AB now will go near with south pole, while for conductor CD will go to north pole. And the position of the brass now should be also tilted like this, because the commutator and the armature will rotate at the same time. So if you're going to see the peripheral velocity of the conductor, so it will not cut the magnetic lines of force 90 degree or perpendicular. So in that case, if the conductor will cut with a certain angle that is less than 90, the generated voltage is lesser comparing if the conductor will cut the magnetic lines of force perpendicular. Kasi yung illustration natin before na if we have to move a certain conductor and it will cut the magnetic lines of force perpendicular like this, then the generated voltage is maximum. But if the conductor will cut the magnetic lines of force with a certain angle, say like this, we move like that, the generated voltage of this conductor is lesser comparing to the generated voltage of the conductor at the first setup. So ganun din ang mangyari dito. So from zero on the first position of the coil, then it goes to this. The generated voltage now will increase from zero to a certain value. So not yet the maximum value. So the direction of the generated voltage using the Fleming's right-hand rule, as we discussed in the first part of our discussion, the direction of the current at conductor AB is point, while the direction at conductor CD is cross. So, assuming that the point will give to us a negative polarity, because we can see in the figure that conductor AB is attached to the segment at the original position, which is the upper portion, is in contact now with negative brass. So the output now here is a negative polarity. While conductor CD, which is in contact with the lower part of the segment in the original position, so it is also in contact with positive brass. Therefore, we consider cross as the positive. Yan, okay? Then we further rotate the coil so that the position now will be like that. So at this position now, the peripheral velocity now of the conductor are already vertical. So that the conductor now will cut the magnetic lines of force perpendicular or 90 degree, so that it will give to us now the maximum voltage. So makita natin dito, it is already rotated by 90 electrical degrees, starting from the magnetic neutral, so or the geometric neutral axis. So we traveled like that. We have 90 electrical degrees. The generated voltage now will become maximum. And still, yung conductor AB is point is still connected to negative. Then yung CD is still connected to positive. Then further rotating by another 30 degrees. Then the conductor now, again, position like this. And the peripheral velocity of this is with that direction, meaning the cutting of flux is not perpendicular. Therefore, the generated voltage is lesser from the maximum value. So, at angle 135 electrical degree, then the voltage now is already decreased from the maximum at angle 90 electrical degrees. Yan, okay? Still, the conductor AB is in contact with negative, causing to be negative pa rin sa brass na yan at the right, negative, and positive sa conductor CD, which is cross. Then, further rotating, the conductor CD now is already above, while conductor AB is nasa baba na siya. And again, the peripheral velocity of these conductors is horizontal, causing that there's no cutting of flux, and the generated voltage now will become zero. So makita natin in our graph that the generated voltage now decreased now to zero. So again, the coil is or again short-circuited, and again theoretically the generated voltage is zero. That is only one half rotation, okay? And we already generated that one. Then again, further rotating that so that we can complete the one complete rotation. So we will see now that conductor CD is already near at South Pole. Kanina is nasa North Pole siya. Same also with the conductor AB. And the first half rotation is dumaan siya sa South Pole. Then at this point now, will become near to North Pole. And if we apply the same, the Fleming's right-hand rule, conductor CD now will become point, and conductor AB will become cross. Because originally, it is the other way around in the first half rotation. AB is point, CD is cross. Then at the second half rotation, CD now will become point and AB become cross. So meaning the direction now of the current that is generated by the conductors or in the coil is already reversed. So if there's no if there's no commutator and brushes, then the direction now of the generated voltage will go down. So dito sana siya pupunta. Kasi it is already the reverse. So nag-change, so it should be like that. But if we analyze that using now the commutator and the brass, since we collect the output from the positive brass and negative brass, so whatever the polarity that is in contact to this will be the polarity now for its brass. So if you're going to see, conductor CD is already point. Kanina, ang nakakontak sa negative is AB with this point. Meaning, after the brass, it will not change the polarity. So it's still negative. Same also with the positive brass, that the conductor that is connected through the commutator is still cross naman. So still positive. So it maintains the uh, direction of the voltage or current at the positive direction. So it will not go at the opposite. So at that position again, the voltage now will increase again from 0 to a certain value. So hindi siya pupunta sa baba. So again, this position is the maximum value. Further rotating that, then it will decrease again, then goes to 0. So the generated voltage of one turn coil, a single one turn coil, if you rotate that in a complete rotation considering topols, then it will generate now these two waveforms. So usually this is a pulsating DC, that is a pole wave. Okay, so yan. So we discussed that the output for a DC generator is a unidirectional voltage. So how could we come out with that? So if you're going to place um, two coils that are out of phase by 180 electrical degrees, what will happen is it will generate also a waveform which is out of phase by 90 electrical uh, degrees. Okay, so it is also out of phase. So considering the first coil, maybe ito yung ma-generate na waveform. So bale, ganito na yung arrangement natin. So kanina meron tayong conductor AB, conductor CD. Ito yung mag-pair. Then we will place another coil, maybe conductor EF and GH. Ito naman yung mag-pair. Okay? So bale, dalawa na yung coils natin. It is out of phase by 90 electrical degrees. So if you're going to rotate both these coils at the same time, the generated voltage now will become like this. So considering yung coil na merong conductor AB and CD, we have the blow waveform. Then yung conductor AF and GH will generate also this waveform, yung red. So yan, okay? So the total voltage that is being generated by the generator as an output should be the sum of these two waveforms. So if you add these two waveforms, we will come out with this. So by point, so 0 and this one will start here. So yung green. Then again, 0 naman yung isa dito. Dito is times 2. So yan. Then like that. Okay? So ito yung total output of the generator. So makita natin na medyo unidirectional na siya, pero malaki pa rin yung fluctuation. So if you consider more coils, say like this, okay? So as the coils now increases, you will notice now that the output of the generator will become smoother, okay? So liliit na liliit yung mga ripple natin dito. So still we have a fluctuation there, okay? So usually that is the characteristic of DC generator. but the output is a unidirectional. So as the number of coils makita natin dito, the output will become more finer. Okay, so approaching and straight line. So that is the output of a DC generator. So the commutator will serve as the rectifier that converts the alternating current voltage generated by the armature into a unidirectional voltage. Kasi kung walang commutator, ang gamitin natin is slip ring. So the output natin is usually an alternating current voltage because as the conductor rotates, the generated voltage reverse as it goes to the other direction of pulse. So nakita natin dito sa illustration natin dito. So yan, that is the output. Then next, we're going to discuss here is about the magnetization curve for a generator. So let's say to consider a separately excited generator. Usually this is one type of generator. Kung sinabi natin na separately excited generator, the field winding should be supplied by an outside DC source. By the way, we will discuss further this one as we go on with our discussion. So we use only this one for the construction of the magnetization curve. So in the schematic diagram, meron tayong coil dito to represent now the field winding. So yun ang mga winding na nakalagay sa mga pole core natin. So assuming ito yung pole core natin, we have the winding here. Lahat-lahat yung mga pole cores natin. So that is the representation now, okay? Then meron tayong field rheostat. So we know now what is rheostat. It is a variable resistor. So we only rotate the knob of that rheostat. It will change the resistance maybe from 0 to a certain value. So the purpose of this is to vary the current that is taken by the field winding IF, which is called as the field current. So yung IF natin is called as the field current, which is defined here, okay? Then for the armature, should be represented by a circle, okay? So nandito na yung mga armature windings natin. Then commutator, then we have the brass or brushes. And meron na tayong output dito. Yan, okay? So that is the schematic diagram for that given type of generator, which is a separately excited generator. So ang gawin natin dito is we're going to vary the field current maybe from 0, and we're going to increase that field current little by little, and we will observe what is the generated voltage of the generator. So yun ang gawin natin. But before, we're going to discuss the output. Let's say to discuss first the characteristic of the magnetic steel that is used as the pole core. Okay, so let's consider another magnetic steel. We're going to place a winding in this magnetic steel, just the same as in the poles. So, bali ito na yung field winding natin. And gawin natin dito is we're going to apply a voltage. So, the same setup as in the schematic diagram. And we're going to vary the current using now rheostat. The pole core is usually meron siyang mga magnetic particles or magnetic moments. So maybe from your subject in engineering materials, so merong mga magnetic particles here which is randomly arranged. So the magnetic particles is made up of north and south polarity also. So maybe for this case, maybe this is north, this one is south, then again this one is maybe north, south. So randomly yan. So maraming magnetic particles for this. So if the magnetic particles are randomly arranged, that magnetic steel has no magnetism or magnet. Okay? So wala siyang magnet. So wala pang na-apply na voltage, and these magnetic particles or magnetic moments are randomly arranged. Wala siyang magnetism. Okay? Then if you're going to align this by applying now a voltage on the coil, the tendency of this magnetic particles will align the same direction as the um, magnetic lines of force produced by the coil. Okay? So assuming kung north dito, south dito ang ma-produce ng coil, assuming this is positive and this is negative, the tendency of these magnetic particles will align also in that direction, that north should be at the left side and south at the right side. So ganun ang mangyari. So the total flux that is produced by the setup, the electromagnet, will be the sum of the flux produced by the magnetic particles and the flux produced by the coil. And usually, the higher flux na produced should be from the alignment of the magnetic particles. If assuming that we already align the magnetic particles and we're going to remove the applied voltage, what will happen to the magnetic particles or the magnetic moments? Are they going back to the random position? So usually it will not go back to the random position, but it will retain a small arrangement of the magnetic particles. Usually, that small arrangement of the magnetic particles will produce a small amount of magnet, usually called as the residual magnetism. So residual means nabati. So residual magnetism. So this residual magnetism, maybe you already experienced that. Say in a screwdriver, there are screwdriver that there is a magnet. Okay? So meron siyang magnet, maybe to pick up small screw. Okay? So kaya niya i-pick up yung mga screw na maliliit. So meaning that screwdriver has a residual magnetism and there's a small arrangement of the magnetic particles. So yan, okay? So ganun ang mangyari dito. Okay? So assuming that in our setup now here in the separately excited generator, we have already the residual magnetism. So that if we rotate now the armature by its maybe rated speed, then usually the conductors or the coils now in the armature will cut now the flux. And if the applied voltage is zero or the field current is still zero, the only flux that is present in the pole core is the residual magnetism. So that residual magnetism will cut by the conductors to generate a small amount of voltage. And that small amount of voltage is usually called as the residual voltage. So, ito nandito sa mga discussion natin. So, ER is the residual voltage. So, meaning that the generated voltage will not start zero at field equal to zero. So, it will start now with this value. So, ER. Then, as the field current increases, the tendency of the magnetic particles will further arrange, causing to increase the magnetic lines of force or the flux, and also the flux produced by the coil. So, i-add natin yan. What will happen is the generated voltage also increases. Based from the formula that we discussed kanina, that the generated voltage is Z P flux speed over 60A times 10 raised by negative 8. So we already increased the flux. Therefore, the generated voltage also increases. The increase of the voltage with respect to the increase of the field current is linear or directly proportional if the condition of the iron is unsaturated condition. What is that unsaturated condition? So the unsaturated condition of the iron is from the randomly arranged of the magnetic particles to the fully aligned yung mga magnetic particles. So meaning all the magnetic particles are already aligned in one direction. So that is now the condition for the unsaturated. So from the randomly arranged to a fully arranged is already the unsaturated condition. But if we further increase the current in the field windings depend to the flux produced by the magnetic particles or the magnetic moments is already maximum. Hindi na siya mag-increase. The only factor now that increase the total flux is the flux produced by the coil. But the flux produced by the coil is not maliit lang in terms of the flux produced by the magnetic particles. So even we're going to increase the field current, the generated voltage will not increase so much. So hindi na masyadong tataas. So kung tingnan natin dito sa curve natin, we have a straight line here. Meaning the condition of the iron is unsaturated, and the relation between the field current IF and the flux is directly proportional, and the flux is also directly proportional to the generated voltage. So if we increase 10% of the field current, the flux also increased by 10%, and the generated voltage also increased by 10%, and so on. But if the iron now will become saturated, so even we're going to increase further the field current here, the generated voltage now will be hindi na masyadong tataas. Okay? So the curve now should be looks like that. So that is the curve generated when we're going to increase the field current from 0 to a certain maximum value, maybe at this point. So maybe that is the maximum current that we apply. Then ang gawin natin dito is we're going to decrease now the field current. So what will happen to the curve? Is it follows the curve when we increase the field current, or above or lower? So usually baliktad pala. So increasing pala yung nasa baba, yung red, and decreasing yung blue. So why is it that the magnetization curve is lying above and the magnetization curve when we're going to increase the field current? Because if we decrease the field current, the magnetic particles will not go back to its original position at the same field current. So it takes time to go with that arrangement. So meaning the flux produced by the arrangement of the magnetic particles is higher comparing to the flux produced when we increase the field current. So if the flux is higher, therefore we have a higher generated voltage. Yan. So mas taas yung voltage natin. Yan. So kaya um, we have that curve. Okay. So a curve for the increasing field current and a curve for decreasing field current. So parang mag-rotate lang yan. Then if you're going to increase again, we have now that one, then decrease. So parang we have a loop here. Okay. So these curves now are called as the magnetization curves. Usually, ang ginagamit natin na curve should be the increasing field current. So, yan. So that is for the magnetization curve. So this magnetization curve is very important in studying generators, most especially in designing generators also. So that is for the magnetization curve. Then we go now with the types of generators. So the first one is the separately excited generators, that the fields are energized by a source of DC current external to the machine. So the same as in our illustration kanina, that the voltage that we use to supply the field winding is from another source, maybe from another generator, a battery, or whatsoever source of DC voltage. While for the second one is called as the self-excited. So the fields are energized by their own armatures. So no need to consider another source of DC voltage. So whatever the output of this generator is the one to supply now its own field winding. If you're going to compare now this separately excited and self-excited sa tao, yung separately excited should be yung mga married. Itong self-excited is yung mga single. Okay? So, hindi na natin i-elaborate yan. Okay? So, alam na natin yan. So, we go with the schematic diagram for these two types. So, we consider also the first one, the separately excited generator. So, same as in our station and the discussion for the magnetization curve. So, you can see here that the applied voltage to the field winding is coming from outside DC source. Then we have the armature. Then meron tayong load dito. Yan. So we will define later on yung mga variables natin. Just like IA, which is represent the armature current and so on. Then meron din tayong compound generator under separately excited, or this is called as the dual excitation. So meron tayong dalawang klase ng field winding. One is called as the shunt field and the other one is series field. What is the difference between these two? The series field is usually made up of a larger size of conductor and lesser number of turns. Usually the size of the field winding will depends on the capacity of the generator. Kung ang maximum current delivered by the generator is maybe 100 amperes, kailangan the size of the field winding na series should be also capable to carry now that amount of current. While for the shunt field is usually for smaller size of wire or conductor, and also more number of turns. Because this one is, it will only carry small amount of current that is only enough to magnetize the field winding. So that is the difference between these two. So in the illustration natin, so makita natin sa drawing na mas maraming turns for the shunt field, and dito sa series field, mas konti yung number of turns. So the shunt field should be energized by an outside source, while for the series field, it should be energized now by the armature. So whatever the current now produced by the armature, yun na ang mag-excite dito sa series field. So parang combination ng separately and self-excited generators, which is called now here as the dual excitation. In the self-excited generator, we have three also. We have three for this. The first one is the shunt generator. So shunt is usually parallel. So the shunt field and the armature winding are usually connected in parallel. So you can see here. So this is the shunt field winding. Naka-series yung field rheostat. Then we have the armature, and so they are connected in parallel. So tawag natin dito is the shunt generator. For the series generator, we use the series field winding. Okay, so ang gamitin din natin na winding is the series field. Ito si shunt is shunt. Ito is shunt field. This one is series field. So makita natin, series field and the armature are connected in series. So that called as the series generator. The third one is the compound generator. So we have two arrangement also for this. Meron tayong tinatawag na short shunt compound generator, and the other one is the long shunt compound generator. The only difference between these two is the connection now of the series field. So this is the series field. So if the series field is connected in series with the line supplying the load, because this is our load, then we have a short shunt. For the long shunt, the series field is connected in series with the armature. Kaya tinawag natin na long shunt to because ito yung reference niya. So mas mahaba ito. So because we already inserted the series field in series with the armature, so we have a longer here. Kaya tinawag natin na long shunt compound. In the first one, in the short shunt, so mas maiksi yung part dito sa armature. Kaya tinawag natin na short shunt. So para meron tayong basis on the familiarization of the arrangement between the short shunt and the long shunt. Because if we have a problem to be solved, and maybe the generator is made up of compound generator, say short shunt or long shunt, if we come out with a wrong diagram, then our solution will also wrong. Okay, so kaya we're going to place the correct schematic diagram. So that is one way of familiarizing with the schematic diagram between long shunt and short shunt. and the connection and the armature. Kung naka-series sa armature, long shunt. Kung hindi naka-series, short shunt. So let's say to define the variables now we're going to use here. Okay, so EG, usually the generated voltage, so that is our formula, Zp flux N over 68 times 10 raised by negative 8. So yung Vt is the voltage across the load or terminal voltage. It is defined here. Yung Ia is the armature current. So Ra is the resistance of the armature. So yung field current natin na ISH, usually tawag natin dito is shunt field current. Later on also, we consider the current flowing on the series field. Usually it is called as the series field current. We have also voltage drop on the brushes due to the resistance, and we let that as our VB. So that is the brush drop, or that is the brush contact drop. Ayan, okay, so yan ang mga variables na gagamitin natin dito so that we can formulate different equations now for every connections of generators, whether it is a separately excited or self-excited generators. Those are the types of generators. So, yeah. So next meeting, we're going to discuss the relationship now of these variables applied for every connections. Yeah. So, any questions and clarifications with our discussion today? So if none, we will end up to this point and we will continue next meeting.